Are you wanting to increase your self-confidence and you wonder how some people they've got so much confidence? Well, we're going to talk about what confidence is and some of these traits today from some people I've learned from. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra point for how you can really take this into your life. Now, I decided to do this episode because I was reflecting back on some of my podcast guest interviews. So this is going to be based on some very confident guests that I've had on who were very, very calm, very, very cool. Just, these people gave super value, not arrogant at all. I've never had anyone arrogant on the podcast because I wouldn't let arrogance come onto my podcast. And these people gave so much value and they had so much belief in themselves and what they're saying. And I really wanted to take this and give this to you a little bit. And I realized in my own journey, because I used to really struggle with self-esteem and confidence, and we'll define them in a minute. I used to really not have a good relationship with myself. I used to hold myself back. I was like, I can't ask a question in here. I can't speak up. Like, who am I to do that? Who's going to listen to me? What am I doing here? Like, so much self-doubt. And I realized as I started taking this on board and acting out in certain behaviors, I started to really grow as an individual. And I realized we can always model some successful things in other people. And that's one of the key lessons one of my mentors, and actually one of the podcast guests, Dr. Joseph McClendon, taught me. He taught that we can always learn from others. And actually, Jim Rohn, who was one of the godfathers, no longer with us, sadly, but one of the godfathers, they say, of personal growth, says success leaves clues. So we can always learn. Now, I've had the privilege of, from someone who just randomly started a podcast in his wardrobe, no studio at all. I'm just like, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing right now. I'm just sat in my apartment or flat if you're UK. I said apartment first, which is funny, even though I'm British. So, like, it's literally one room, and I just like to give value into it. So, into my room, into the podcast, of course. So, from doing that, I was privileged to grow and then speak to some experts in the field. And it's getting started, which counts. Now, after that and reflecting on my own journey, I realized there's a certain number of traits in these individuals. And let's talk about what confidence is, and then we'll go into some of these traits and how you can really start modeling them in and start using them in your own life, because that's what I want you to take away. If you choose to, of course. So confidence, first of all, self-esteem before we get into confidence. So self-esteem is how much you like yourself, regardless of anything else. How much what's your relationship like with you, just as a person? And a lot of people are challenged by this. I was challenged by this. It's an ongoing process. You always have to work on your relationship with yourself, especially when you go through hard times, because you need to be your number one cheerleader. Now, confidence. What is confidence? So confidence, and these are my definitions from what I learned, from what I've researched, and what it means to me. And again, you could like listen on my podcast and think I'm talking nonsense. Again, I'm talking my own personal experiences, and I just want to give what's worked for me and share with you, and obviously what's worked for my guests and share with you. Confidence is the trust you have in yourself and in an ability, typically. Now, you can have confidence of different things. I define self-confidence as the general sort of trust you have in yourself, right? So I've managed to develop a good level of self-confidence over the year. Now, at times, obviously, when harder things come in, that's going to be tested. And whether you're spiritual or not, I believe I know it's always controversy when we start talking about spirituality and religion and things like that. And I respect whatever someone wants to believe, they can believe. I believe there's something, some kind of guidance out there. That's just my belief. And I think sometimes you're given tests by it. And sometimes they're not always things you want, but there's sometimes things you need. And unfortunately, it really puts us to a test sometimes, some stressful situations. And that can really test your self-trust. And as someone who talks about it, I get given a number of confidence and self-esteem assignments to really test me, put it that way. And I face it and I learn and I share. That's what I do. Okay. Now, we're going to go into the tips in a moment. I want to share something with you, but I just want to ask you, how is it helping you by perhaps following certain traits again and again, or behaviors in yourself that aren't really serving your confidence? What's that going to do for you? Because if you're anything like me, when you're just constantly doing things like criticizing yourself, not backing yourself, not taking action, it didn't do me any favors. So I don't want you doing that. So we're going to go into the traits in a moment. Now, just before we go into that, I want to mention something special for you, because maybe you struggle with a bit of self-confidence, maybe you struggle with self-esteem, maybe imposter syndrome, maybe self-doubt, maybe perfectionism, maybe self-sabotage, overwhelm, some of those things, overthinking, huge one for me, it was. And maybe it's impacting your personal life, maybe like relationships with people, how you're feeling about life, maybe your professional life, your career, your business, it's impacting you from getting somewhere. Well, that's why I've decided to pull together the self-esteem and confidence booster challenge, which is going to be an 8-week challenge whereby I'm going to be coaching you with some very simple systems and ways to move forward. Now, to work with me on a one-on-one, I'm going to be honest, it's a bit of money, because it's time, it takes up, I put a lot of effort in and a lot of time, and I want to give the value to whoever I work with. So obviously I can't work with everybody. Now for this, I wanted to reach you and as many people as possible. So it's not thousands, it's not hundreds, it's not even 100. Until Saturday, the value of this is only $47 if you grab it as an early bird. And then the doors will close a week after. So if you're someone who actually wants to make a change in your self-esteem and confidence, you want to put $47 to good use, rather than buying some kind of clothes you didn't need or some kind of rubbish. I've certainly been guilty of that. Then check that out below. There's also some stories of success stories as well, and people I've worked with, just to give you a bit of a flavor for that. So if that's something you feel like may resonate with you, just click the link below. So let's talk about these 5 traits then of these people. So the first thing is, these are people, again, from who've been on my podcast. I just was kind of trying to sum up some of these traits of their high level of self-confidence. The first thing is they have a bigger mission. It's not just about them. It's not just like, and it's not saying, and of course you need to fill your cup up first to be able to help other people. You need to look after yourself. You need to self-care. But it's not just a case of, I need to get this, I need to get that, and just focusing purely on themselves all the time. Obviously, we need to look after ourselves, but they have a bigger mission. So therefore, they see it as essential they look after themselves so that they can go out and serve other people. And when you go into a place of caring for other people, your confidence and self-confidence will increase, because you realize you've got a bigger purpose and a bigger mission. So they may be trying to earn some money, to run for like charity or something. Like when I'm going to be running for charity in a few weeks, and I certainly have put a lot of trust into myself, because I've got a purpose. I'm helping, I'm going out there and I'm running for people to help ill children save their lives, trying to save some lives as possible by earning some money for that charity. That'll just gives you a mission. Maybe just start small. Think about, like, maybe you want to do a charity event for someone, because you're telling yourself you've got purpose. You're out there helping other people. You're important. And these people have a huge, huge mission. You see these highly, highly, highly confident people, like speaking on stages, going out there. Like if you go to extreme, amazing versions of people like Nelson Mandela, like they're totally focused on something a lot bigger than themselves. And therefore, they've got a high level of self-confidence, because they know they're out there serving. Right, the second one. They've done it before, right? It's simple, but we forget. Like, you have probably got a high level of confidence in something and you've forgotten about it. Maybe driving a car. Maybe if you're blessed enough to walk on this planet, maybe that. It may be brushing your teeth. I'm not going to assume everyone can do everything I say here, but think of an example in your own life, right? But yeah, maybe it's like brushing your teeth or something, if you're fortunate enough to have teeth. But you're very confident in that because you've done it again and again and again. People who are very good at public speaking, guess what? They probably weren't very confident the first time they did it. People who'd done their first ever podcast interview, like admitted to me, I was terrified the first time. But maybe if they'd done public speaking, they're a bit more confident. People do public speaking the first time, they're like, I was a wreck the first time. I've seen like some people I admire show their first ever video and they're like shaking, right? We forget this. We like look at someone who's killing it because they've done tens of thousands of hours, right? You've got to start somewhere. And when you do it again and again and again, you're going to build confidence. We forget that though. Look at yourself for inspiration of how far you've come in something, no matter how silly or small it is, even if it is driving a car, right? It's like, you don't even think about it, bang, can do it, right? Well, if you went out and you did public speaking, even like 2-3 times a week, like to a small group or whatever, you would be like in several weeks, you would certainly have a high level of confidence. And you don't need to necessarily do public speaking, but something on that example. And these people, they've just done the thing they're talking about again and again and again, right? It's that simple. We forget the simplicity though. The third thing, and this links back to the first thing, so maybe I should have put it as a second thing in hindsight, is that they're not afraid to share their views because they believe it's their truth and it's going to help other people. So with this, you can just start small. If you disagree with something, just say it in the right way, or you can practice in private how you would counter what someone says. And it's not about putting someone down and say, oh, that's okay, I can see your idea. Now, what I think is this. And all you've got to do is just practice, maybe even as like a couple of times a week, just maybe challenging on your own belief, just sharing, because we get caught in the views of other people. We get scared of other people's like opinions of us. And to do this, these people who are sharing and like got a high level of self-confidence, they've built enough muscle and repetition. It comes back to doing it before. The first two kind of come to the third point I'm making here. But the more you do it, even if it's small little actions, the more self-confidence you're building yourself. Right. The fourth thing is they're consistently surrounding themselves and filling themselves with great information and great quality people. You will not build good quality self-confidence within yourself if you are surrounded by people who bring you down. It doesn't happen. We adapt ourselves to the environments we're put in. I talked about this on the last episode, but I mean, there's a lot of things I'll repeat on these episodes just because I want it to get into your mind. And again, the more we repeat, the more it's going to go in. You can kind of see some of these overarching messages. So consistently surrounding yourself with a great environment of people is going to build your self-confidence. Hang out with people like, I hate myself, I hate life, oh, I'm no good at this, I'm no good at that. What happens to you, it goes into you as well, right? So, and when I say information, you could listen to good quality podcasts like the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset. But obviously you're doing that right now. Or anything else that just makes you feel good. There's lots of great podcasts out there. Like there's so many you can listen to, right? Or audiobooks or something. And the reason I say podcasts is obviously we're busy people, we're on the go. So that's typically what people do. So consistently immersing yourself with good quality people and information. And that's another trait. So think about how you can do that. This is what these highly self-confident people are doing. And then the fifth one, right? Simple as it sounds, people don't do it because they forget it. They don't think it's important. And I've been guilty of not doing this many times in my life, and I have to call myself out for it. Praising yourself. It's absolutely essential. These highly self-confident people, they acknowledge their successes, not in an arrogant way. And the problem is those, like if you perceive someone who gives themselves credit, like, there is arrogance. Obviously, arrogance is when you're putting others down or you're thinking you're better than other people, right? Confidence is when you believe in yourself. It is not arrogance. And recognizing yourself, giving yourself credit for something. Maybe you're doing it all the time and talk about how great you are. That is on the arrogant side. But these people like praise themselves for their achievement. And if to start off with, you're so worried, give yourself this praise in private, right? Because you're listening to you. Your subconscious mind is listening to you. So pat yourself on the back and praise yourself as much as you possibly can for what you're achieving, right? It is not arrogant. It is something that's going to build your self-confidence. Now, just before I get on the final point, I want to thank you for listening today, of course. And if you want to come and hang out with me for more inspiration, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is @johnny.pardo. And just want to remind you again, if you're really looking to improve your self-esteem and or self-confidence, like we've been talking about today, maybe you're challenged with things like perfectionism, overthinking, self-sabotaging, overwhelm, or a combination of them or more, and it's impacting your personal professional life, then a reminder, we've got the self-esteem and confidence booster challenge. That is going to be an 8-week challenge. The early bird price finishes on Saturday, midnight EST. It's only $47. And then a week later, the doors are going to close for that challenge. You won't be able to get in after then. And if you want to check that out, see some more information, some frequently asked questions, success stories, all you got to do is click on the link below, but don't hang around. Okay. So, final point. I'll leave that link below as well, I should have said. Right, final point is, how do you really model someone? Say there's someone you really admire and you want to be like confident like them. Here is a key thing to do. Model 3 things from them to really model their confidence. 1, physiology, the way they move. Are they hunched? Are they down? Are they sad? Probably not if they're highly confident in something. Or are they upright, smiling, calm, and cool? Probably. What are their beliefs? Try and pick out some of their beliefs. And this could be a person you know or don't know. You could admire a celebrity. But the fortunate thing is there's a lot of YouTube videos, podcasts, autobiographies, books, all sorts that we can take this from other people. So what do they believe about themselves, other people in the world? And then start taking those and see how you can apply them in your life. And then the final one, the syntax, the way they do things. What is the sequence and order they do things and go about things in the world? Okay. So that is a way to really role model other people for their confidence. So once again, I want to thank you for being here. Once again, a reminder, I have the challenge open. The early bird pricing will go at the end of this week. And you'll still be able to enroll, but not, it will close very shortly. So check that link out below. So I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives by being the best you. And remember, you are in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.